hard copy in front of me when I review something, so that'll be very helpful. Thank you. Looking at old business, the timing of the staff report packets. Yeah, we had requested that we get our packets a couple days early, and I appreciate Mary providing that on Wednesday. Gives us a little extra time to look at it. The agenda wasn't real heavy this week, but it certainly is good to have those in advance. Okay, on to new business. The first item on our agenda for new business is a zoning map amendment, and we are going into a public hearing. So this item is a zoning map amendment request to rezone a parcel in the 200 block of Ledford Mill Road from general commercial C2 to high density residential 3. And the applicant is Mr. Alan Howard. Is Mr. Howard or a representative available tonight to speak to this? He is not. Should we just push this off till next month?
You could proceed with the hearing, or you could continue to the next meeting.
Let's just continue with let's continue with the hearing. Any comments from the public on this proposed zoning change? Mr. Glass, please take the stand and state your name, please.
I'm John Glass, the airport manager. We had our board meeting last week and approved a motion regarding this rezoning request. I think additionally, we just want to be fully transparent. It's going to be a lot of noise that these folks are going to have to listen to from aircraft. There's been some other rezoning requests further down or further west on Ledford Mill Road. I feel like those properties have more trees in the area, and that kind of dissipates the noise. That's not so in this case. We have skydiving 5 days a week from 9 a.m. to almost dark. And our Life Flight helicopter, when they depart from the airport to go to Nashville, they're going to be going right over this property. It's 75 to 100 feet. So we just want to be fully transparent and let these folks know. You know, we said in our letter we've been there since 1942, and we're going to expand our operations and continue for many more decades.
Right. Any questions for Mr. Glass? Any on the board? Yeah, the airport authority has spoken out on each of these zoning changes recently, and there's a lot of residential starting to pop up right on
Yes,
this
sir.
road. So, but I appreciate your comments.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Seeing none, staff report, please, Mary.
Thank you. Production, can we please go to my presentation? Thank you. Again, this is a rezoning request for a parcel in the 200 block of Ledford Mill Road from general commercial C2 to high-density residential R3. Here's the subject property located on Ledford Mill Road. It's approximately 2.07 acres. Public water and sewer service is available to the property. The minimum lot size for the R3 with sewer for single-family houses is 12,000 square feet. For two-family or townhomes, it's 7,500 square feet. The property is not located within the airport overlay zoning district, nor is it within any of the 6 runway protection zones from the Tullahoma Regional Airport. The letter that the Aviation Authority submitted that Mr. Klaus referred to, I did pass around for your review, and it is part of the public record. The subject property meets all of the design standards for the R3 zoning district. This property is in a residential land use category under the existing plan, which we're legally bound to today. And so saying that, staff is recommending approval to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen based on the findings of fact found on section 1006E of the City of Tampa, City of Tullahoma zoning ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Mary, I got a question for you.
Yes.
The surrounding property from this, what's on page 16, your map, did we recently rezone that to, was it R3? Because it's shown, it may just be the print, but it looks like from this print, it shows that it's still, I guess, I1 maybe, based on the color.
Which property are you talking
I
about,
think
sir?
it's R3.
Okay,
Yeah,
Mr. Sandlin's papers look way different than
Yes,
mine.
the property to the direct north is approximately 35 acres that the same applicant requested and was approved for rezoning to R3
Okay.
in 2021.
It just looks the same color as the airport on this, so it's,
Right.
at least on my printout. Excuse me.
so it's a very small piece of property kind of within that larger R3 that we already approved. Right, so it's just, this is the one in question, so.
Yeah, I understand that. I thought we had rezoned that earlier and didn't look like it based on this, but
Yeah. Okay. I guess I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and ask for a motion for this zoning change.
Motion to approve.
And a second?
Second.
And discussion, any discussion?
I mean, I'll just make the comment that it is, while today's comprehensive plan, it falls in the line with that roughly. The place type maps in the proposed Tullahoma 2020 thing is inconsistent with the zoning on here. But given that we've rezoned the surrounding neighbors of it, this is probably appropriate.
Let me make one comment regarding this. The airport has made it clear that they want the property buyers to be aware of the potential for noise at all hours. And in the other rezoning that we've done, we've made it a requirement that be a part of their restrictive covenants in those areas that were rezoned. So I think it's appropriate to have such a comment to the buyer and for this particular part as well.
Is that something that we put in our motion?
That is something that we can recommend
Yeah. It's,
with those comments.
okay.
So in that instance, someone would make an amendment to the motion, that would be seconded, and then you would vote on the actual motion to approve.
Okay.
So that is an amendment to the original motion, that we include that language for buyer beware, essentially.
Okay. And can, Mary, we go ahead and vote on that amendment? Okay.
Okay.
First and second amendment.
Good.
Any discussion on that amendment?
A comment to the amendment. This is U3 or C3 or R3. Sorry. So we're looking at likely rental property here. So we're extending that to the owners of the property, but not necessarily the tenants. I don't know if that matters, but that's just the tenants may not be aware of it. They should, but.
But when they go and look to see if they want to
Well,
rent this property, they'll see an airport to the left. So-
I'm just commenting that the end user, that doesn't,
Right.
the amendment does not protect the end user of the property.
It could be rental property, it could be a condo, it could be a townhome.
So the amendment is to copy what we did on the previous part of that property, correct? To add the exact same wordage?
Buyer
Correct.
beware. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Well, let's vote on the amendment then. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Okay, the amendment passes. And now, back to the full motion. Any other discussion on the full motion
As amended.
as amended? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor of passing the zoning change for this property, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Okay, thank you. And thank you for the comments from the Airport Authority. We certainly understand what you all are doing out there. We need places for people to live. We need all levels of housing arrangements. And some people might really enjoy living close to the airport. That's something a lot of people certainly live close to a railroad track around here. which can be quite disturbing, and yet you can get accustomed to that too. Okay, moving on to the next agenda item. We're in public hearing mode again. The Lawrence annexation and plan of service. This is a voluntary annexation request and plan of service for 95 Avoca Lake Road. The applicant is Mitchell Lawrence. Is Mr. Lawrence available to comment on this? Please, just state your name and your address and tell us about your request here.
Mitchell Lawrence. My name is Mitchell Lawrence. I live at 95 Avoca Lake Road. I'm just requesting to annex the property into the city. It's got 2 single-family dwellings on the property. There's 2 addresses, there's 2 water meters, 2 electric services. I just want to be able to annex it into the property so I can split it into 2 properties like it should be.
Okay, well, very good. Well, thank you. And staff report on this, please, Mary.
Thank you. Production, please. Thank you. As Mr. Lawrence said, he's requesting to annex the property at 95 Avoca Lake Road. It abuts current city of Tullahoma property to the northeast with that existing neighborhood. It meets all the criteria for annexation per state statutes. As the applicant stated, he was not able to meet the zoning regulations under the county zoning district. So in order to accomplish his goal of splitting bifurcating the property so each house is on its own property, he would annex the property, then we would rezone it to probably the R1 district, and then he could subdivide the property. So it's a multiple stage process. This process, staff is recommending to send a favorable recommendation to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for the annexation and the plan of service.
Okay, thank you, Mary. I'll close the public hearing. And can I get a motion on this zoning, on this annexation?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Any discussion on this request? Everything seems to be,
I mean, I was looking at the, where'd it go? You get, annexation includes city schools, but we're gonna have to extend the sewer service, the electric service, well, maybe not the electric service, but sewer service and fiber service to the
The
area.
property is currently on septic. If the applicant wanted sewer service, the applicant or property owner would have to pay for the extension.
Okay,
that's his choice,
I see that now. Thank you.
at his cost, but he would be coming into the city and that'd be more property taxes, right? That'd be a positive for the city.
That's often a loss for the city, Greg. But anyway, I was just wondering what I was looking through this and I missed that note and I'm sorry about that, but I did read this. Okay.
Yes.
One quick question for Mary, and just to be sure, I don't want him to go through the annexation process and then get to the point where he wants to do what he wants to do. Is he going to be able to do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I've worked with him extensively. I've worked with him and the county planner at Coffee County, and we've reviewed his proposed layout, see if we could make it work under the county regulations. It can't work, but it can work under ours.
I didn't want him not to take on the taxes if he couldn't end up doing it.
Of course. I wouldn't have got him down this road if I knew the end result wasn't there, so.
Yeah. Okay, if there's no other questions or comments, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving this annexation request, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. All in favor? Okay, well, good luck with your plan here. Okay, we are on to other new business. Introduction and discussion of our draft of the Think Tullahoma 2040 Comprehensive Plan. And Mary, I think you're going to lead us through this effort.
Yeah, thank you. As you know, the first draft of the comprehensive plan, Think Tullahoma 2040, has been released. Mr. Brooks and I had a meeting with the Plan Steering Committee, I guess it was last week, and presented them with the same information that is in your staff report on these 2 pages. Basically, it's just my professional guidance on how to review the plan and kind of what to think about and look for as you're reviewing it. As far as the adoption process, the steering committee will review the current plan draft. We're also soliciting comments from the public on the plan draft. We'll be taking all those comments from the public to the steering committee. The steering committee will convene once, if not twice, and review the entire comprehensive plan and amend it as needed. Then the plan will come before you at the Planning Commission as amended by the steering committee. You can make further amendments, and then it goes ultimately to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for a final adoption. So that's kind of the adoption and the hierarchy of the reviews. As far as reviewing guidance, I'm just going to briefly read this to you. The draft of the plan is relatively long, at 246 pages. While all sections of the plan are important, the existing conditions and exhibits in the back are the building blocks of data collection and analysis. These sections should be reviewed and referred when reviewing the plan, which is like the plan is the bulk guiding document. So you've got existing conditions for Tullahoma in the front, and then you've got all the studies and the backup data and the appendices in the back. The main function of the steering committee and the planning commission is to guide the policy decisions found in the plan, which starts on page 41. Please keep in mind that this comprehensive plan is a guide of what can feasibly be accomplished over the next 20 years and for all sections of the population over 20,000 residents. This is something I said to the steering committee, and I'll say it to you as well. Remember that as you're reviewing this, we have to think about all the different sections and sub-populations of Tullahoma. So when I review something, I look at it from my point of view, but really try to make an effort to expand your point of view and try to look at it from all socioeconomic classes, all different parts of the city, to make sure that we're planning for the whole city, not necessarily your perspective. Below are some, not all, policy issues by section for your consideration when we're reviewing the plan section. And then I'm just going to quickly go through things to think about for the different sections, and you obviously have this written down, so you don't have to take notes. For the place types, consider the map and the location of the different place types as far as accuracy with existing uses and proposed expansion. What is the anticipated growth the city desires, importantly, can support over the next 20 years. I do know with the place types map in the PDF version as well as in the printed version, it's relatively small. Mr. Brooks and I went through the effort to print out large 36 by 36 copies of the map that are available to review in our office as well. And also a PDF version of the map that you can really zoom into is also on the Think Tullahoma 2040 website as well. Mobility. Sidewalks have been a major issue with the public through our public comment sessions that we had last year. Please review the map to determine if the proposed sidewalk routes make sense as far as connections and priorities for the next 20 years. Also, same thing for the roadmap routes. Are the improvements prioritized correctly? Infrastructure and facilities. Drainage is another main concern with the public. Are the drainage recommendations appropriate for the next 20 years? And then are all of the infrastructure improvements for each utilities adequate to keep up with the amount of growth from the place type sections? So if you read the place type section and you look at the map, you can kind of think about, okay, this whole area could have a density of 10 dwelling units per acre. That's 500 acres. Are we going to have enough utilities to service that? So you kind of read the plan and see how it all fits together. Natural and cultural resources. Do you agree with the use of transferred development rights for environmentally sensitive land? And also consider the policy about if we should revive the local historic preservation ordinance. I believe we had that in the past, but no properties were actually designated. It kind of fell on the wayside. But there's been a resurgence of issue to do local historic preservation ordinances, again, and designations. So again, that's a policy decision in the plan. Do we want to proceed with that or not. Public space and recreation, is there agreement with the Rock Creek Park concept? Are the community design recommendations correct for the different types of land uses? As far as downtown, is the proposed organizational structure for downtown appropriate and achievable? Is there agreement with the new public space concept? As far as housing, is there adequate direction to encourage new types of housing? Refer back to the place type map to ensure that there is enough land available for each housing type. And then under economic development, are the proposed target industries consistent with the city's and TAEDC's vision? Mr. Brooks, our new economic development director, will be taking the plan to the Tullahoma Area Economic Development Corp for a review and recommendation as well. Because again, it's vital that as many entities within the city are all working towards a common goal. It would be difficult for the comprehensive plan to be guiding certain target industries, and then TADC is working on a different target industries. We all have to work together, because then the place types and the plan will ensure that the sites are available for the target industries that TADC is going after. Resiliency, is there agreement with the resiliency policy guidance? And then lastly, plan implementation. Does the implementation schedule seem achievable over the next 20 years? And then please consider the timeframes for each task. We have a soft deadline of April 30th to provide feedback from the public. Again, that's a soft deadline. We want to ensure that the public, the steering committee, the planning commission, and the board feel very comfortable with this entire process and the adoption process, to make sure everybody has time to thoroughly review it, understand it, and comment on it. And that's all I have. I'm sure there may be some questions.
Just a general schedule question. You say April 30th for the public. When's the steering committee expected to have it to our board?
I think we have the soft deadline of April 30th. I think Mr. Brooks and I gave ourselves a week to compile all the comments, and then the steering committee would be convening, I think, May 6th.
So they can, is that their first meeting? When do we think it'll arrive for the, will it be ready for our May meeting, our May planning commission meeting?
Maybe.
Okay.
Again, we'll see how it's quite a lot to go through, and there's a lot of decisions that have to be made. And again, I professionally don't want anything to be rushed, or that any member of the public feels like they didn't have an opportunity to really think about this and really contemplate it, and let's make it right the first time. So probably I would think it's June. I would anticipate 2 full steering committee meetings.
Okay.
I would like to request, Greg, that we have maybe a study session on that before that meeting.
Yeah, we should. I agree. That's a good plan. Once, maybe meet that off Monday night, like in between the board meetings. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure you do.
You have one Monday
That
night
would be the other
open.
I guess we do 4 months.
Not anymore.
You'll have all, yeah. That's what we used to, when I was on the planning commission before, we met automatically twice a month, so.
How would you like our comments submitted from the planning commission?
I would like the comments submitted through the database that is established on, Think Tullahoma 2040 website.
Okay.
Really, Mr. Brooks and I have to try to compile all of the comments, and I can't get multiple handwritten notes on documents and Post-its and that thing. I'm fearful that I wouldn't be able to really make sense of it or provide meaningful comment back to the steering committee. The way we set up the database is that each page of the plan has its own comment section. So as you're going page by page, if you can type in your comments for each page, and then the database will compile. So here's everybody's comments on page 1. Here's everybody's comments on page 2, just so we can kind of get our arms around it. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. I just didn't know if we had if you wanted a different avenue from the planning
No,
commission.
that's what
or
we
any
worked
really-
out.
Okay.
That's our strategy for handling
Okay.
the wave of comments coming at us, so.
And I got one more general comment.
Uh-huh.
I'm concerned a little bit. The average, or I guess the median income stated on page 155 of this document as being $48K for Tullahoma. And if you look at the results of the surveys, we only got 23% of the surveys are from below the median income. And so I'm kind of concerned that we did not reach out appropriately to the people making less than the median income in the city. And that the people that are making upwards 100K plus, and that's household income too, are farther represented, and we're steering the way to represent the affluent versus the people in need. So just a kind of a general comment. I'll make that as well, but that was kind of like the gross thing that I found in reviewing this. I have a bunch of other comments too, but I'll submit them through the website.
I can say, because I was partially in charge of all the public communication at the front end of the process, Mr. Brooks and I took great lengths to make sure that we counted every sector of the population. We did a mailing to every property owner in the entire city. So there were thousands of mailings went out. We had multiple newspaper articles. I made flyers that I put in every quadrant, all the 4 quadrants of town. I did radio spots, TV spots. I did a podcast that is primarily heard by the lower socioeconomic portion of the city. We went to multiple community meetings and community groups. I contacted every church in town and sent them the information on the plan. So short of plain flyer, we really made extra effort to try to contact everybody.
I think the city really did. I mean, we had the 4 meetings at the elementary schools. It was widely broadcasted. There's just a lot of people in our city that aren't engaged in the process, and they choose not to be. It's their choice. It's their loss.
That's my point, though, is that we're allowing the affluent, the people that have time, the people that can take the time to give input, a larger voice than the people that may actually need. That's my concern, but I understand, but I just, I'll get off my soapbox.
Do you?
No.
But
And I understand
I would be interested in hearing your suggestions as to how we could have done that better.
The solution, yeah.
I honestly don't know, other than through, I do feel like we did a lot of community engagement, but I would like to make sure that the results reflect that community engagement and not necessarily what people asked for.
Well, and also, it's my professional opinion, what I said earlier is that what I was somewhat alluding to is, as you review the plan, remember you're planning for the entire city, not just necessarily your own individual perspective. So you have to think of all the population and all the quadrants and what everybody needs and wants and what what the plan can accomplish for all residents.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman, I have one question for Mary.
Yes, sir.
This doesn't pertain to the adoption process per se, but you raised the issue in your statement here, and I think this is going to be very important but very difficult, and I'd like for you to comment on it a little more. And it's where you say, over time, the zoning ordinance and zoning map will be updated to coordinate with the 2040 plan. How will that take place?
That will be one of the very first processes that we tackle after the adoption of this plan. Either in-house or through another consultant, we will be updating the zoning ordinance and the zoning map to reflect the policy decisions of the new plan. So that's like job number 1, because that's one of the biggest tools to implement the plan is through the zoning regulations.
Yeah, well, as I said before, I think that's very important as part of this, but I also feel it's going to be very difficult to do. because there's so much difference between the way the place types are laid out and the zoning ordinance is laid out. It just, the pieces don't mesh very well.
Right. Yes, it will be a very large endeavor, but endeavor that we can overcome.
Yeah, we've got some work to do. Well, this board will have some work to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess that by approving the comprehensive plan, we don't automatically approve the zoning ordinance. The zoning map will have to be taken through a rigorous process
Yeah.
to bring it up to speed. But so really, we need to pay close attention to this proposed land use, map on the plan, because that'll drive the ship. So I was just thinking through the schedule. If the steering committee gets their document back on May 5th, then that's actually after that first Monday of the month. So we'll have to have a special called meeting, study session, sometime the week of the 9th, May 9th, before our 16th meeting. So just keep an eye on that. We'll have to put some time in then to be ready to move forward on the 16th.
Yeah, and again, I would be very surprised if it's ready out of the steering committee at one meeting.
Oh, okay.
So I really
all right, we're looking
anticipate
into June.
June.
All right, we're looking into June. All right, well, we'll just plan on our May 16th meeting to see where we're at.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to say that there is a lot of benefit here too. I just noticed that
There's a lot of what?
there was a lot of very good things in this thing too. It's like
Yeah.
I just noticed that inconsistency. Wanted to make sure that it was good. So I don't want to.
Thank
seem
you,
like I'm
Scott.
very just shooting everything
Yeah.
down.
Any other questions or comments at this time on the comprehensive plan? All right, well, I will, our next meeting is set for Monday, May 16th. We'll just plan on that, and we'll